Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you all for joining to His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily call. I welcome all of you. Today, we are going to continue the Srimad Bhagavatam series of 12th canto, 3rd chapter. And today's verse is verse number 14 onwards. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for giving your time and association to all of us today. You can please take over, Maharaj. I'll share my screen. Maharaj, are you able to see my screen? Are you able to hear me? Maharaj, you are on mute, Maharaj.
Yeah, here.
Yes.
Trying to fix this screen here. I can't do it for some reason.
Can I help you, Maharaj?
Well, I don't know. I don't think so. I have to figure it out here. I can see all of you and the screen, and I'm trying to knock all of you guys out.
You can make it full screen, I think, Maharaj.
Not working. Full screen. And you guys are still there. Okay, disappear. Okay. Oh, okay, we're getting closer here. Let's see here. Oh, let me see here. Can still see you guys. I'm trying to. There used to be a little thing that comes up and you hit it and you guys disappear, but you won't disappear for some reason. Right. Okay. The screen is so small too, I can't do it. I'm going to start over again. Just give me I'll just be right back.
Sure. Okay, I'll break it.
Okay, there you see.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, we got it now.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kataya Te Katitam Mahisaram. Kataya Lokeshu Yasupayusam. Jnanam Vairagya Vivaksaya Vivot. Tacho Vibhuti Nati Paramartyam. Sukadev Goswami said, Almighty Parikshit, I have related to you the narration of all these great kings who spread their fame throughout the world and then departed. My real purpose was to teach transcendental knowledge and renunciation. Stories of King lend power and offers to these narrations, but do not in themselves constitute the ultimate aspect of knowledge. Purport, since all the narrations of Srimad Bhagavatam bring the leader to the perfection of transcendental knowledge, they all give supreme spiritual lessons, though apparently dealing with kings and other mundane subject matters. Relationship with Krishna, all ordinary topics become transcendental narrations with the power to bring the leader to the perfection of life. Yastutama sloga guna nuvardana Sangiyata Bhikshna Amangalam Gyanaha Eva Nityam Shrunuyavi Bhikshnam Krishna Malam Bhaktam Avyaksamam Samanaha. A person who desires pure devotional service to Lord Krishna should hear the narrations of Lord Uttama Sloka's glorious qualities, constant chanting of which destroys everything inauspicious. Devotee should engage in such listening in regular daily assemblies and should also continue his hearing throughout the day. Purport, since any topic related to Lord Krishna is auspicious and transcendental, the narration of the Lord's own activities, political and non-political, is certainly the supreme subject matter for hearing. The word Nityam here indicates regular cultivation of the topics of the Lord Krishna. Now, Bhikshnam indicates constant remembrance of such regular spiritual experiences. Om Gyan Timaranda Shyam Gunam Sarakam Taksun Vidam Yena Tasmai Shundaru Maha Chain Tanumanam Vistam Staputam Yom Vitale Vayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadati Tam Kadati Tam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Chitananda Shri Vedagara Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So sometimes people ask us, what is the difference between material and spiritual? Sometimes they think that spiritual is opposite of material. But that doesn't apply in the general sense. What is material is not connected to Krishna, and what is spiritual is connected to Krishna. No matter what the topic is, if it's authorizedly connected to Krishna, one cannot artificially make up a connection and call it spiritual, but it's given in the Shastras, given by the Acharyas, then it's spiritual. And what is the goal? The goal is to attach oneself more to Krishna, or see the connection between Krishna and everything else that exists. So, therefore, one should attach oneself to Krishna. That is the goal. And by hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, serving Krishna, connecting, we can connect mostly everything to Krishna except sinful activities. Those things cannot be connected because sinful activities are contrary to the process of connecting with Krishna, because Krishna is the pure essence of existence and nothing sinful is in Krishna. But sometimes we talk about activities that are sinful where Krishna appears and destroys it and makes it pure, or makes it pious again, or religious. That's also devotional topics. So there is a unlimited series of topics related to Krishna, because Krishna is the source of everything. But the essence of the activities related to Krishna is the glorification of Krishna within those activities, which centers around his pastimes. Through chanting the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we gradually connect ourselves to Krishna through his name. As that chanting develops, one starts to realize Krishna in his various forms. As that progress of chanting continues, one starts to awaken the unlimited qualities of Krishna. And the principle of complete pure chanting allows one to enter into the pastimes of Krishna. So everything is in Krishna's holy name. The holy name is the manifestation of mercy by which one connects to Krishna in all aspects of Krishna. So if one is not chanting the holy name, and one is engaged in other activities connected to Krishna, that is also spiritual, but at the same time, because the chanting of the holy name is the Yuga Dharma in this age, and is given preference by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and emphasized by Srila Prabhupada, then in order to stay fixed in any aspect of Krishna conscious hearing and chanting, one has to engage in chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. No matter what other activity of Krishna consciousness one connects with, the chanting has to be there. Of course, if one is purely chanting the glories of the Lord, one will want to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That is automatic, because it has been given prominence and it manifests itself as the basis of all connections with Krishna. So therefore, we teach each and every person, and we allow everyone and anyone to come to Krishna through the chanting of the holy name. But it's not that anyone can worship Krishna in the temples, or anyone can sit on speak transcendental knowledge about Krishna, unless they're a devotee of the Lord. And to be a devotee of the Lord in this age, one has to chant Hare Krishna. We come back to the supreme subject matter for activity, which is to glorify the Lord by glorifying his holy name, which leads to other forms of glorification, such as his qualities, his forms, and his transcendental activities. So this particular says the constant chanting, which refers to all of that, Krishna's activity, destroys everything inauspicious. Therefore, we, as devotees, we chant, but we don't chant constantly, or we chant intermittently, or we chant when we have time, or sometimes we chant a little bit more than that. But the word constant is very fundamental to purifying all of existence. That's why Lord Chaitanya gave that verse from the Shikshastakam. The first one is Chaitan Darpanam Marjanam Mava Mahadevagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kaiva Vichandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Bhuri Vardhanam Patipadam Purnam Rita Swardanam Sarvatmas Naparam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. In this verse, he delineates or narrates or lists the 7 benedictions that one gets by chanting the holy name. Of course, there are many more than 7, but there's 7 prominent benedictions. And then the last one listed in that verse is Sarvatma Snaparam. And Sarva means all, and Snapa means bath or process of cleansing. So the holy name cleanses or gives a bath to everything connected to the devotee in their life. So their home, their relationships, their material possessions, everything in connected with the devotee also becomes Krishnized or spiritualized when one chants the holy names of the Lord. So this is the power and glory and position of giving of the holy name, which is the foremost of all activities in devotional service, and the most recommended one in this age of Kali, because people are not inclined to austerity in this age. Even a little bit of austerity becomes difficult, such as following no illicit sex, no intoxication, no meeting, no gambling. So we give that as the foundation by which one practices glorification of Krishna in a regulated way. But we see even some people who take up Krishna consciousness can't follow that, or aren't able to follow it, or maybe just don't make enough effort to follow it. And therefore, they can't stay steady in their practice of Krishna consciousness, and gradually they become more and more connected again to the material energy in all of their activities. But these 4 regulative principles are, from a spiritual point of view, quite easy and necessary, and they're the minimum in the age of Kali, where in other ages there are other great austerities that one has to perform. That says those austerities are listed in the Shastras according to the particular ashram, the austerities in each of the ashrams. But in other ashrams, the austerities were greater. For instance, to do deity worship, we are quite liberal, as Prabhupada said, I'm quite liberal in allowing for anyone and everyone to practice deity worship with certain characteristics and qualities. In other words, they have to have Brahminical qualities. In other words, they have to practice devotion into the mode of goodness. And therefore, they have to be tolerant, pridelessness, clean, simple, know the Shastras. And of course, there are the institutional rules which support the general rules, such as having a Bhakti Shastra accreditation before one can actually formally worship the deity. And so all of these things are, simple in this age of Kali, because in this age, Manda Sumanda Mateho, Manda Badu Paditaha, and people are not inclined to difficult austerities. They're more inclined to sense gratification. That's just the nature of the age. And therefore, it becomes hard for people to stay fixed in spiritual practice because of the influence of the age of Kali and the difficulties that come by way of trying to perform some austerities. So we see when Srila Prabhupada first started the movement, he said 64 rounds a day. He wasn't just saying that. He wanted to implement that as the standard, but the devotees immediately protested, and Prabhupada eventually went to 16 rounds. But then he said, no less. No less. And so he compromised, and his Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, for anyone who was living in the temple and anyone who was not preaching, 64 rounds a day. Those who were preaching and spending their time throughout the day spreading the glories of the Lord, they could chant less than 64 rounds. But those who weren't, they had to do that, and then that was the qualification for being a disciple. Prabhupada started with that, but he could see that Kali Yuga had increased. As, of course, they say the farther you go west, the more materialistic people are. So if you're in the land of India, then it's the land of Dharma. It's Punya Bhumi. But as you move west, the whole atmosphere starts to change, and then it becomes more Papa Bhumi, and then it becomes Mahapap, and then becomes so hard for devotees who are living in Western countries to stay fixed in devotional service. So there has been so many compromises in their execution of devotional service. But if one follows the regulative principles and chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, they can qualify themselves for complete purification and ultimately return to the spiritual world. But so the glorification of the Lord either in his name, his qualities, or forms and pastimes. Anyway, when he wants to glorify, that purifies the atmosphere, purifies the glorifier, and purifies everyone. Because when you bring Krishna in the form of glorification of Krishna, then just like when you bring in the sun, darkness gradually dissipates. When you're in a cold environment, you turn on the heat, and then the heat dissipates the cold, and the cold becomes less and less and finally gone. So in the same way, we hear and chant the glories of the Lord in the association with others. It could also be family members and friends. It doesn't have to be into the temple, but the glorification must be there in some form or another, either at home or wherever you are, coming together and hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord is the most auspicious and most purifying activity, and brings one great happiness because Krishna's activities are very attractive by nature. Those activities are full of Krishna's opulences, which means fame, strength, wealth, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. All of the 6 opulences of the Supreme Lord are manifested through his pastimes, along with the wonderful dealings he has with his devotees, and how he always favors his devotees in his relationship with them. Sometimes God is depicted as somebody who's quite a tough guy. He's more like a taskmaster. And you have to follow a whole set of rules and regulations, and only then you get a chance to qualify yourself as a spiritual practitioner. But And Krishna, it's different. All we have to do is hear and chant his glories sincerely in the association with devotees. Even the non-devotees can do that. And they will also receive the mercy of Krishna. So this is here. So the word nityam, as it's been emphasized here in the per form, means regulated. And abhiksam means constant remembrance of such regulated spiritual experience. So the activities have to be nityam and abhiksam. That means regulated and constant. As it says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Savai Pum Samparo Dharmo Yato Bhakti Ahoksaje, Ahoitiki Apiyata Yayatma Supersedati. That devotional service becomes nectar when it becomes constant. Then it becomes nectar because it's sweet. When it's broken, then the nectar may appear intermittently, and it does, but the more we break it, the less that nectar is able to be experienced. It's like when you are training to do something, the more time and energy you put into the training according to how the activity is meant to be performed, the faster you learn and the better you become. If you continue in that way, you become expert. So in the same way, we become expert in Krishna consciousness when we stay fixed in devotional service to the Lord. Some time for maintaining the body, but even then, it says, just like it uses the example of the residents of Vrindavan, when the residents of Vrindavan go to sleep, they don't simply go to sleep, they dream about Krishna while they're sleeping, and when they wake up, they immediately remember Krishna, like that. When they're eating in such a way as to understand that Krishna has come. At least the devotees remember, Krishna has come in the form of these foodstuffs, which taste so nice and at the same time gives nourishment and happiness to the mind and to the body and to the soul also. So everyone, the idea is to learn how to connect everything with Krishna, stay fixed in these activities, although the activities may be variegated, and then that constant connection with Krishna, as it says, let's see. Savaipum Samparo Dharmo Yato Bhakti Ahoksati. Ahoituki, apriyata. Ahoituki means without personal desire, without interruption. Priyata means without personal motivation. Personal motivation means material motivation or desiring to get something from devotional service. Like if I perform devotional service, my family situation will be better. I perform devotional service, I'll get a better job. I perform devotional service, my health will increase. I perform devotional service, my relationships will be better. In other words, one is looking to a devotional service to fulfill some secondary need based on the body and the mind. And that is called mixed devotional service. It is allowable, but it is not the perfection of devotional service and doesn't give a higher taste. The higher taste comes when one is free from any personal motivation in devotional service. In other words, one wants to engage in devotional service, purify themselves, and to give pleasure to the Lord and to his devotees. Okay, I'll stop there. And of course, the constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord is also mentioned. That's mentioned in the second canto, first chapter. By constantly chanting the holy names of the Lord, one purifies themselves and everyone else. It's the ways and means of the great souls who are always engaged in glorifying the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much for such a wonderful class. It's very auspicious to hear about the glories of the Lord and also chanting of the holy name on this auspicious day of Satyala Ekadasi. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Dear devotees, if you have any questions or comments or realizations, you can please go ahead and please turn on your cameras if possible. Sridevi Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj, you just now said that devotional service that is mixed with our personal desires is not really, we should go past that and we should come to pure devotional service, which is unmotivated and uninterrupted, because that is the higher taste. But right now we are not there yet. We want something from Krishna. We want to acquire something or do something. Even if it's for devotional service, we want something. So how do we know how to overcome that personal aspect and leave it all to Krishna?
No, you have to know what is that motivation. There's karma mishra bhakta, jnana mishra bhakta, yoga mishra. Mishra means mixed. Bhakti mixed with the desire for fruit of gain. Bhakti mixed with a desire for philosophical speculation. Bhakti mixed with a desire for material power. Oh, bhakti can be mixed. So yeah. But bhakti in its essence is Sudha Bhakti, a pure bhakti. And that is Ayapila Sita Sunya Jnana Kamarana Vitam Anukulena Krishna Silanam Bhakti Uttamam. Has to be done for Krishna with a desire to please Krishna, free from karma and jnana. That's Rupa Goswami's definition of pure devotional service. So even though you may not be on the level of pure devotional execution, you still can execute pure devotional service, even from a point where you still have material desires, as long as you don't act on your material desires. That's all. Don't bring them into your activities. They will dissipate and they will reduce in their strength as you stay fixed in your devotional service. That's how devotional service works. So you should be a little bit aware of what is that contamination that you're still, still harboring, that is making your devotional service not a haituki and a priyata, not free from motivation or always interrupted. So if you don't know what it is, then after trying to figure it out yourself, just ask the spiritual master and he'll tell you.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, this is very important to understand because it will weaken our bhakti if we just allow it to fester. It will just take away from our the energies that we are putting into devotional service and suck more and more of the energy away from that.
Yeah. So sadhu sangha sarva shastri hoy labamata sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. Associate with devotees, and gradually you'll start to be able to see where your narthas, your attachments still are. You're attached to name and fame, you're attached to prestige, you're attached to being worshipped, you're attached to being glorified. You're attached to performing material activities. These anarthas are there. We'll discuss this in detail. We'll discuss this in the retreat coming up in April. That will be the focus of the discussion. These material taints and contaminations, which are either gross or subtle. The gross ones we're more aware of, but the subtle ones, we need to have some help to see those subtle ones. But sometimes we can see them. Like if we do something and we don't get any acknowledgement for it, we feel unhappy about that. That means we're attached to some kind of name and fame or some glorification, some personal prestige. If we see someone successful in our Krishna consciousness and we're feeling unhappy because of that person's success, or we're feeling envious towards them, it's another form of contamination. If someone else is favored by Krishna and we feel we're not being favored by Krishna, then we feel a sense of unhappiness based on that, and that's also another form of contamination. There's a lot of subtle things. In Madhurya Kandambini, which will be the subject matter, sort of exposes these subtle things and helps one to understand how to uproot them also.
Thank you, Maharaj. I look forward to that retreat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. We have a question chat by Aarti Mataji. She's saying, please accept my humble obeisances on goes to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj. I know of some priests that are not second initiated but have Upanayanam, Gurukul Brahmin, even if they didn't go to Gurukul. Is this the bona fide method of becoming a priest and performing yajnas?
She knows someone who is. What's the first part of the question?
So she knows some priests who are not second initiated, but they have this Upanayanam ceremony happened to them. So they didn't go to Gurukul. So she's asking, is this a bona fide method of becoming a priest and performing yajnas?
One has to get Upanaya samskar from the bona fide spiritual master and the knowledge related to that also. One has to receive it. One cannot adopt it simply because of one thinks they're qualified or because of something else. Now, just like in Vedic culture, as children are growing up, when they get about 12 years old, the parent, who is also a devotee, will teach them knowledge of the scriptures and also maybe also give them a sacred thread. But that's done only under the guidance of the spiritual master and not separate. But people surreptitiously or just whimsically adopting a position doesn't give them the qualification to perform the position. Qualification comes by exhibiting by following the process, and then, of course, there is Kripa Siddha, but that is rare. But that is also authorized by the spiritual master. But some people think that the institutional rules are not important for practicing certain aspects of worship, but they are, because they're also part of the Pancharatriki Vidhi, which are, authorized forms of how one should perform deity worship. So in order to disallow certain people from taking the position artificially, there are certain requirements that one has to come up to and be acknowledged in those requirements before they can perform the activity. So a person may be born in a Brahmin family and then may be wearing a Brahmin thread because of growing up in that family. And when they come into the institution and they're following the principles of the institution according to the standards given by rules and regulations, they have to qualify themselves by showing, certain, in other words, a certain rites of passage allows them to perform those activities. That's given by the spiritual master under the guidance of the who follows the Shastras. And these Shastras are also the foundation by which the institution institutes these various types of requirements. But if you want to do it at home, no one's going to stop you. But if you come to the temples, then there is some requirement. Acknowledged requirement. You can't walk into the temple and say, well, I've been wearing a Brahmin thread since I've been 12. I learned everything from my father, therefore I should go under the altar.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Does that help?
Yes.
The understanding is ultimately that there are, for Pancharatra Vidi, which is deity worship, there are requirements. And Srila Prabhupada set the standard for the requirements. Like in the in Dwapara Yuga, there were also requirements for deity worship, but the requirements in that age were much more difficult than they are in this age. As Prabhupada said, I am what I gave you is only 20% of the rules and regulations for deity worship. In other ages, more of those requirements were the standard by which one could practice. But, in this age, and according to the Acharya, there is a program that is delineated or organized according to the Acharya. We follow, Prabhupada has given us the standard. He said you can't, if you want to do deity worship, you have to be second initiated. You can't simply cook for the deity if you're not second initiated. At home, you may be able to do that. That's fine. But when it comes to the temples, then there is a standard. The home worship may be a little bit more lenient in the requirements than when one is doing in the temple.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, any more questions or comments?
My screen sees everybody who has put up their video. I can't see any of the other people who are online who haven't put their screen up. I don't know how to see them, as I can't figure out how to do that.
So only the persons who switch on their videos, you can see Maharaj. You can't see others who are hiding behind the camera.
Well, every day I'm seeing both groups.
Oh, okay.
And this is unusual.
Did you turn on?
Huh?
Did you turn on gallery view and where you said hide non-video participants?
It says this is show non-video participants.
Yeah, you click on that, Maharaj.
Oh, okay, there you go. We got it now. Now I can see both groups. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
See who's hiding, because if you're hiding, you're caught. Okay, so Madatri decides to come out of her her Bhajan Kutir and make an appearance. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So,
Any questions? Yeah.
yeah, any devotees, any more questions? Yeah, Raj Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Maharaj, all glories to all devotees. Maharaj, can you tell me at what stage should one start thinking about understanding which anarthas they have and trying to take action to reduce or eliminate them? Should one focus on...
You don't start eliminating anarthas at a certain stage, you start immediately.
Okay.
But with the help of the spiritual master, which is the third stage, then it becomes more easier and natural. That's why Bhajana Kriya, which is initiation, precedes Anartha Nivritti in the stages of bhakti. But before then, you are associating with devotees, you're following the process, and gradually you'll be developing a taste for Krishna consciousness. But you can't see your anarthas them at that time. Only with the guidance of the spiritual master and a very careful understanding of the principles of devotional service, that gradually you can start to realize how fallen you are. Because sometimes we get new people that come in and they chant and dance and they're just like flying high, and they think, wow, we made it to pure devotional service. We used to call that PDS, pure devotional syndrome. People come in and they think, oh, I'm so advanced. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do. And therefore, obviously, I made it to the top. But then again, give them another few months and they flop from the top, and sometimes they stop. And then we just give them the mop and send them to the store to shop. So they can do some menial service and realize that this is what it takes. So yeah, that used to go on a lot, and maybe it does also to some degree now. The enthusiasm and the exhilaration that one gets when one first comes into Krishna consciousness. But then gradually, as we start to learn the process, then we start to begin to see, where our material attachments are, our anarthas are. And then we realize the process requires commitment. Is that your sister, Arti?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
I forgot your name.
Dipali.
Deepali.
Yeah.
I think that's your younger sister, right?
No, Guru Maharaj, I'm the young one.
You're the young one, okay. You all look the same to me, so I can't tell you. Okay. In Krishna consciousness, it's better to be the old one. In material life, it's better to be the young one. All right. Is that good enough, Raj?
Yeah.
Those anarthas, as soon as you start to practice, you should be aware of how, if you practice properly, you can be able to see easily where you need to improve. If you're not practicing properly, then it may be also more difficult for you to see that. So the proper practice is the mood that we adopt in our execution of the devotional service. What is that mood? And Lord Chaitanya gave that formula. He said that one should practice humility, tolerance, pridelessness, and respect for all other beings. This is the devotional character that one adopts in order to practice devotional service progressively. In other words, one will make advancement nicely as one adopts these four principles.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Raj Prabhu. Maharaj, we have a question on chat by Supriya Mataji. She's asking, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Good Maharaj. How do we know we have reached Brahma Bhuta state or clear consciousness?
Don't worry about it. Just keep going. How do you know when you are satisfied from eating? Does somebody have to tell you you're satisfied? No, when you're eating, you get to the point of, well, I'm satisfied, I'm full, I can stop eating. That's an experience. When you get to clear consciousness, or, as you mentioned, it's an experience. Not that you have to validate it. It's an experience. Just like eating is an experience.
Maharaj, is it that you feel contented and blissful without any desires?
Well, the scriptures say, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, Nasoshati Nakangshati Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakti Labhate Praman. Prasannatma means joyful. One becomes joyful. Nasoshati Nakangshati, one doesn't hanker for anything, one doesn't lament the loss of anything. These are the characteristics of clear consciousness, or at least the stage of approaching clear consciousness. Prasannatma is the key word, joyful. One feels joyful in the execution of devotional service. So if you're not happy, you're in Maya. Basically, that's the bottom line. Prabhupada said that too. If you're not happy, it indicates you're in Maya. Or you're still being affected by Maya. Krishna consciousness is the platform of natural happiness. And as one progresses, the happiness increases and takes on certain expressions of that happiness in different ways. One wants to serve others more. One thinks of more ways to do devotional service. One becomes eager to chant. One becomes eager to go to the temple and see the deities and associate with devotees. These are all symptoms of devotional progress. As there are symptoms when you're eating, you are gradually satisfying your hunger. You are gradually, your strength is starting to increase. You're feeling happy. All of these are symptoms of the process of eating. Same way, there are symptoms of as one makes progress in devotional service. No one has to tell you that you're Krishna conscious. It's an experience.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Supriya, is that okay?
Yeah, she said, thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you so much. Maharaj, I was also considering just like body and mind is connected. When we are sad, we are told, or when we are feeling less confident in any situation, we are told to put up hands on the hands on our waist and stand straight, so that we feel confident after a while. Okay, and when we are feeling confident, we naturally do those gestures. So just like mind and body, they are connected. I was thinking, if we naturally don't hanker for anything, don't lament for whenever the things are gone, when we try to put that kind of impression on mind through regular practice, is it easy for us to take that journey to reach Brahma-bhuta state?
Well, if you practice what you want to be, you're moving in that direction by conscious awareness of the goal. When you're not doing that, you're not conscious of the goal, and the emphasis is not placed upon these things. Therefore, although the practice works, it may be slower and less direct. In other words, if you want to increase the quality of your chanting, you have to focus on that as a principle of your chanting. What do I have to do to increase the quality of my chanting? So you learn those principles that help to increase the quality of your chanting and the mood of chanting. But if you just chant, you're also getting benefit. But when you actually desire to achieve quality in your execution of devotional service, and you apply some of the principles that help bring about that quality, obviously it's more direct and more quicker, more direct. That's the main word.
Earlier, I was very angry person. Okay. But later on, I realized I was very angry person before. But later on, I realized that anger is causing me problems than causing other person problems. So then I created a rule for myself. Whenever I feel angry in any situation, I will leave that situation quietly, will not say anything, will not do anything. Okay. If it is not possible to leave the situation, I'll just be in the situation and stay quiet. That's it. And later on, once I leave the situation, I'll calm myself and figure out, do the analysis. What was said, what was done, which triggered me actually.
That's very good.
Because the enemy is inside. The problem is inside actually, but we try to project it outside. We try to blame the other person that he said something, or she did something. That's why I was angry.
Yeah, that's a good process. What you're doing is good.
So now I started doing this kind of rules for myself in every situation, whatever be the emotion. If it is a good emotion, I try to analyze it. What was the good in that? Why I became happy? And was that happiness really worth chasing? Okay, we generally try to chase the pleasure or try to avoid the pain. So I have come to these two kind of basic emotions, pleasure and pain. So whenever I feel extreme pleasure or extreme pain, I try to analyze that and try to find out how I can neutralize it in the next situation. So that's how we minimize the extreme impressions that have already happened on our mind.
Yeah, but situations changed, and pleasure and pain come in different ways. So in one situation, you may feel pleasure. In another situation, you may feel pain, and the situation could be the same. So what you're doing as far as that analysis is good, but if you analyze, you'll somehow become on the mental platform, seeing that everything is being done according to an empirical way of thinking. But in devotional service, it goes beyond that, because the Krishna factor is there. When you please Krishna, you'll feel happy. That's automatically. And even if you're doing the same activity, you don't please Krishna, you may not feel happy, although the same activity is what you do in another situation and get a different result from it. For the anger thing, I agree with you, but for pleasure, because how do we describe pleasure anyway? It's more like Krishna consciousness is satisfaction. Satisfaction means a feeling of happiness that comes with the execution of devotional service. That means you've pleased the Lord, and therefore you're feeling that happiness or that satisfaction. So don't look for pleasure and try to avoid pain. Look to serve in such a way that you please Krishna.
Thank you.
And by pleasing Krishna means pleasing Krishna's devotees also.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Maharaj, I have a question on this. You were saying that we have all these feelings coming up by performing devotional service, like you mentioned about PDS, like pure devotional syndrome. So whenever we get these type of blissful feelings or while doing services or while chanting, all that. So which one we have to take it seriously? Like, is it real?
Just thank Krishna for his mercy, that's all.
Mm.
And go on with your service. A devotee is one who is concerned with service. Feelings come and go.
Mm. Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, most of the time I have guilty feeling like I'm not doing perfectly or my chanting is not perfect, or most of the time I struggle and also keep up to be like in doing nicely the things.
Well,
So,
then you have to see what does it take to improve, that's all.
Yes.
But if you always stay in association with devotees, you'll always be in the best position to understand things. That's the key. Sadhu Sangha. As much as possible. And if you're at home and you have home responsibilities, try to associate through the hearing process.
Yes, Maharaj.
The lectures, by reading the books. And whenever you get a chance, go for the physical association. We associate by hearing, we associate also by reading. Okay. That's association.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah. Maharaj, I have one more question. Like, it's about preaching. So sometimes some devotees preach very nicely and they usually attract non-devotees or new people to Krishna consciousness. But sometimes I don't see myself like I'm doing, like I'm able to bring more new devotees into Krishna consciousness. So is it our purity inside us which is guiding this way, or like we have to work on more of that? So does purity works, or is it the matter, Maharaj? Yeah, I'm not able to put my question properly, but
Purity simply means that you're following the religious regular principles. Then you're on the pure platform. Purity doesn't mean that you've reached perfection. Purity means you're distancing yourself from everything that is impure. If you're following 16 rounds and you're chanting, you're following the 4 regulative principles, you're on the purified platform. But if you overanalyze everything, then you get stuck. So we just have to see, from our execution of devotional service, we can see how we can improve. That's all. How we can become more humble, more tolerant, more enthusiastic to chant, to read, to associate. Focus on the positive.
yes, Maharaj. Yeah. Okay.
And maybe you're a perfectionist and you want perfection right away.
No, Maharaj, I don't I don't think about much about that, but sometimes I heard this word purity, and I was thinking like how to actually measure, like how much sorry, the purity, like understand so what's actually purity is, and how to reach that point.
Yeah, well, Prabhupada talks about purity. I was also recently listening, and I also understood deeper what he meant. Purity means that you're purely following the process.
Mm,
You may not be pure in heart. Yeah, you may still have some material attachment. Doesn't mean you're impure. If you break the regulative principles, then you're compromising your purity.
mm. Okay, Maharaj.
Prabhupada says, in order to develop firm faith, you have to be pure.
Mm,
I mean, pure, there is pure in action, and there's pure in heart. We should be pure in action. And Prabhupada said pure in action means pure in eating, sleeping, mating, offending. To follow the principles that govern these four activities, which are the bodily activities, and learn how to practice them according to the standard that we need in order to maintain these activities. In other words, we eat too much or we eat too little, sleep too much, sleep too little. We break the principles in the household life because we have the facility to do that and we think it's okay. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Defense simply means it's a real tricky one to describe in a material way, but defense really means to not try to defend your false ego.
yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, so you stay with the process, you're acting on the pure platform.
Mm,
Process is pure.
yes. Sure, Maharaj. Thank you. Namaste Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your holy lotus feet, and all glories to the present devotees. Guru Maharaj, we set up our standards for our daily sadhana, that I want to hear this much, I want to read this much. For our deity worship, we have standards. So sometimes it happens that in doing all this, we sometimes, many times we miss certain things, and then we feel guilty about it. So because we are not perfect, sometimes it happens we miss it. So how can we try to correct this thing, or is it our weakness, or I want to understand this thing.
Missing something means not doing something that you plan to do, or not doing something you should do.
No, by some chance, if I give you an example, then if I've set certain standards for my deity worship, and say I forgot to put my deities to sleep one day, so I was feeling guilty about it, that I did this.
Don't do it the next day, that's all.
Okay, so there are many times, even in reading, even in listening, some or the other things, we miss out certain things at certain times.
Yeah, We're not perfect yet.
Okay.
If little things, just like sometimes Srila Prabhupada would quote a verse, but he'd quote the verse differently, or forget some of the lines in the verse. And sometimes people would think, oh, he's a pure devotee. How can he, not quote the verse correctly or even forget some of the words? But that's not the indication of a pure devotee. Pure devotee is one who's fixed in devotional service. So these little things may come and go. Like sometimes I put Haridas Thakur to rest every night and I forget to give him the pillow. And that night I can't sleep properly because my pillow keeps moving around. So Krishna will, also let you know that something was amiss somewhere. So don't worry about that. It's just small little things that we should be a little more conscious of. The reason why we forget to do certain things that we are supposed to do, or don't remember the things we're supposed to do, is because our minds are not focused on the activity at the time. We might be doing the activity and thinking about something else, and therefore we do the activity half or less, or sometimes I'll knock over the cup of water that's in front of Haridas. And I'm thinking, yeah, as soon as I start thinking about something else when I'm doing it, I'm not fully attentive to what I'm doing. So just, try to avoid that. Just be attentive to whatever you're doing when you're doing it.
On that note, Guru Maharaj, how much multitasking is recommended? Because for a housewife or many people, they multitask, many devotees multitask. So is it a good idea to do multitasking, or?
It's not for everybody.
Okay.
But I don't know where this word multitask fits into devotional service. It's nowhere in the Shastras. You have to be multitasker in order to be, make faster advancement. It doesn't say that. The word is never nowhere else. It's somebody's intervention in devotional service. It's a material statement, that's all. Because in material life, the idea is to get as many things done as you can. Spiritual life is to do everything you do with attention and devotion. Krishna doesn't say, well, you're not, you're not doing enough things, so you should do more things. No, he says, worship me in devotion. Patram pushpam phalam tayam yome bhakti panashiti. He says, whatever you do it as a service to me, an offering to me. He doesn't say, well, you need 4 arms in order to serve me. He doesn't say that.
He'll have it.
Okay.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I think that clarifies a lot, and I think I'll try to improve my part where my so-called multitasking nature should be focused on one thing. Thank you for that. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, it's a very important question. Thank you so much for asking.
Okay, we can stop here, and so
Yes,
we can stop us for a while.
Yes, Maharaj, please. Sure.
This is the Kadasi, right? For
Yes,
all of you.
Maharaj. Yeah.
Okay. How many of you have reached 64 rounds yet? Anybody? How many of you haven't reached 16 rounds yet? Don't put your hand up, but just feel guilty about it. So here's a chance we can all chant together and maybe it'll inspire our chanting.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah.
I'm getting inspiration from you, because I still have 8 more rounds to go.
Yes, Maharaj. Sure. Shall I stop recording, Maharaj? Or
For the japa, yeah.
okay.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Krishna Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare 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 Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. We get there about 8. What time? 7. Then I can't go to the temple. I can't walk. It's not right. Still have 6 rounds to go yet. And that's my normal. Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Well, you have to come back and chant my rounds at 10 o'clock. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. All right, I'll be over to stay here. I'll come in every few minutes. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. You should have reminded me today, you didn't. I know about it. Forgot. I can't remember everything. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. 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 What kind of meeting? Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. I spoke about that already. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, 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 Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Everybody's waiting. Hare Krishna, Krishna. You can't do both programs. We'll have kirtan there.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. I'll stop at 8:30.
That is optional.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare. All right. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Please, you can keep chatting if you like, but I have to go to another program right now.
Yes, good. Yes, Maharaj. I just want to announce tomorrow's class and give you the verse number. Tomorrow's class is with Bhakti Sangha Japa group Shala devotees. And the verse number is 6th canto, 7th chapter, 25th verse, 6.7.25. And the timing is 20 minutes later from our regular timing. That is 5:50 p.m. IST.
25 or 35?
25. I'll message you, Maharaj, on WhatsApp.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sorry,
you.
I just found out about another program. Okay.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Shri Prabhupada.
Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.